ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. Please enter the meeting passcode followed by pound.
That's better. Welcome to the 9:10, it is now, members of the public who are with us tonight. We'll begin our meeting with the pledge to the flag. I will mute the panelists and ask everyone to join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next order of business is the minutes of our May 24th meeting. Were there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion that they be approved as written.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Those minutes are approved. We also have the minutes from our special meeting on June 1st, at which we did nothing but go into executive session to discuss contracts. Were there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
No.
Hearing none.
No.
I think Christine's got feedback.
I'm gonna try muting her and see if that helps. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 1st, 2021?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Baskin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Those minutes are approved. Thank you. Next item of business is mayor announcements. I have several announcements tonight. First of all, I want the public to know that we anticipate only having one more Zoom meeting, and that will be 2 weeks from tonight on June 28th. And it's our plan to start meeting in public again at our first July meeting, the second Monday in July. We've been looking into ways that we can record these meetings and continue to post them on the website as we have been doing with the Zoom recordings. And we've been looking into ways that we can try to allow people who don't want to come out in public to still view remotely. And I've asked Treasurer Smith to look into several options on that. And I wonder if I could ask her briefly just to tell us where we are, what the lead candidate is, and what you think the timeline is on getting that to work.
Yeah, I was looking into a few options, some of them just the portable cameras, conference cameras that you can just put on a desk and showcase the meeting room. I did refer out to Town of Milton, and I know Ben has also been looking into some options as well, and he referred to Town of Milton for what they utilize for their meetings. Currently, their setups are quite elaborate and I think extensive and far past what the village might be looking into. So I'm kind of reverting back to my original cameras that were shown to me to look into. Some of them are very quick to get, so it's just a quick decision on which ones that we're going to look into and just order it. Luckily, they're all available on Amazon. I have about 3 that I'm looking into. Currently, one of them or 2 of them are 360-degree cameras, which might be ideal for the setup that we are conducting at the library. Hopefully, we'll make a decision by the end of the week and we'll have it in time to have a test run and have it set up for the first meeting in July.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about that?
Yeah, the thing is, I think the camera part, the view, is not a problem, but I've noticed in Milton, they have sound issues. And that seems to be the problem with, one source of sound that you're not going to hear, people making the public comments, etc. So I would, we can try it, but I have a feeling we may have people complaining about that they can't hear.
Yeah, Town of Milton is upgrading their system to an elaborate setup. I don't know what they use currently for their board meetings. I know their engineers must be conducting some sort of meetings, maybe zoning or planning, that they use one of the options that I'm looking into. That is one of the specifications that I am looking thoroughly into for these portable conference video cameras.
I guess the other question is, will people be able to watch real time online?
Yep, these are all capable of it.
How does that work?
It sets up via Wi-Fi, just like you and I are right now in Zoom, just like our computer cameras. They're just more elaborate and better high capacities, I guess. I'm not sure of the actual language, but they're meant to be just like your computer camera, just a little bit more detailed.
Yeah, they have like a broader bandwidth, and I know some of them I've seen, the 360s, have directional smart mics. So it basically rotates and faces the mic to wherever it senses sound. It can triangulate the sound essentially and point the mic towards where the sound's originating from. There's a couple of them that are all in one that are used, specifically designed for conferences and meeting rooms.
Yeah, the two that I have right now are Owl and Candao. I'm not sure if that's one of them, Sean, but if you have any additional ones you want me to look into, you can send them to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Second announcement, you may have noticed, but the stairs at the Tedisco Trail have been repaired and are back open. The materials and labor were donated by Mike Thornton, who owns Improvements Unlimited, and by Saratoga Real Property /199 Professional Building. And I want to thank both of them for the speedy repair and the public service they have done to the community in taking care of that project for us. Third, I met with Kelly Elliott, who is with the Ballston Spa Central School District, to discuss the school district's proposed literacy initiative for next year. They've got a variety of things planned, and they reached out to the village to see if we would be willing to partner with them. So we're talking about things like including a literacy component to our banner program and possibly doing some other types of outreach, community-wide outreach. So more about that as discussions progress. I received a letter of resignation from Conley Reiter from the Union Fire Company number 2. I want to thank him for his service. And I wanted to update you all on the job searches that have been ongoing. We've got 6 positions open currently in the village, 4 positions in DPW, a part-time clerk for the building inspector's office, and the village administrator. I'm pleased to say that Jeff and I received several good applications for the DPW positions, much better field than we have had in our past efforts. And we have interviewed several candidates, 3 of whom we have offered jobs and have accepted, and those are on the agenda for board approval tonight. So 3 of those positions are taken care of, and 1 of them is still open. We also had a good pool of applicants for the part-time clerk in the building office. I was actually surprised by how much interest there is in part-time positions. It was probably the largest pool we had of any of the jobs. And several of them look very good on paper, and we're interviewing the 3 that look best on paper tomorrow. So hopefully we'll be able to wrap that search up quickly. Applications are still coming in for the village administrator. I haven't scheduled any interviews yet because I'm waiting on the flow of applications to slow down a little bit so that we can do a better job of screening them before we do interviews. But I expect that to get underway pretty quickly. Bad news, we had more graffiti at the Kelly Park Playground this past week. DPW got on it very quickly. They sprayed it with the stuff that's supposed to cover it up and it bled through, and they sprayed it again and it bled through, and they sprayed it a third time and it bled through. And so finally they painted over it. Don't know exactly why the cover-up stuff didn't work as it usually does, but that has been taken care of. I think we're going to need to invest in some better camera equipment down there because this keeps happening, and obviously it's unacceptable. And we need to be able to identify the people who are doing it and hold them responsible.
Yeah, we may also need to enhance the lighting down there as well. I know we do have some lighting, but it's fairly dim and there's a lot of dark spots that people can hide in within the playground. So that may be something we need to look at too.
Okay, thank you. And last, just a reminder that the spring pickup period for loose brush has concluded. The last day to put stuff out was Memorial Day. So please don't put any more loose brush out on the street. Everything needs to be in bags until the fall cleanup time is announced when the leaves start to fall. And then there'll be another period of time for loose pickup then. The next item of business is old business. We have been discussing two changes to local law. One of those was a revision to chapter 174 on streets and sidewalks, and the other was an addition of language involving sidewalk vending and cafes. So I put two items on the agenda erroneously because, as our attorney pointed out to me, the sidewalk vending and cafes is a new section in the street and sidewalk regulation. So we actually don't have two local laws, we just have one, and it's local law number 7 of 2021, modifications to the street and sidewalk section, chapter 174. This will serve as the first reading of that local law. After the first reading, then we schedule a public comment, a public hearing on that before the board takes any official action. Because this is 12 pages long, I thought maybe I would not read the whole thing to you, but just go over some of the more significant features. I have asked the staff to put this on the website so that people can look at it online. It's also available from the village clerk if you want to see a hard copy. So I'll just go through this and highlight some key features. One, on the construction and repair of sidewalks section, there's a provision that if sidewalks need repair or reconstruction, the village can notify the property owner to do that. And if the property owner does not make the needed repairs, the village can do the work itself and charge the expense to the property owner. Another feature there is that all new construction and each property that has a transfer of ownership is required to construct, repair, or replace sidewalks within 1 year of transfer of title. And this would not apply to properties located on streets where no sidewalks exist. There's another feature in here, no existing sidewalks can be removed from a property. So those are all changes to the construction and repair of sidewalks section. Under the removal of snow enforcement and liability section, it clarifies that if snow is not removed from the sidewalks and adjacent gutters by the property owner, the village will serve notice that must be remedied within 24 hours. And if it's not remedied, then the village shall do the work and charge the owner 4 times the actual cost to the village. That's not really a change in the existing law. That's in the existing law, but I wanted to highlight it because I know it hasn't always been enforced. New section, placement of merchandise on sidewalks is now regulated and a permit is required to display merchandise on sidewalks. That permitting procedure is handled by the village building inspector. And the permit is an annual permit that will be effective from April 1st to December 31st or whenever snow flies. And it can be renewed annually. And there will be a fee fixed by a resolution of the Board of Trustees. That fee will not be established until the law is in place. So right now we don't have a law providing for a fee. Permits will only be allowed as accessories to business establishments lawfully operating on the first floor of premises in the central business district or the commercial district. They cannot extend more than 30 inches from the building, and there has to be a minimum of 4 feet of clear distance free from all obstructions for pedestrian movement. There also has to be a clear space no less than 5 feet wide to all entrances of the building. And no permanent structures may be erected. There can be no cash register or exchange of currency on the sidewalk. And no sidewalk vending can take place after 8:30 p.m. or when the establishment that it's in front of is not open to the public. Also, no live or mechanical music can be used in connection with sidewalk vending. There's also a new section on sidewalk cafes, which are also regulated. A permit is required to operate a sidewalk cafe, and the building inspector is also the person in charge of that permitting process. Those permits also are annual permits effective April 1st to December 31st, and may be renewed on a year-to-year basis. Those permits also are subject to a fee that will be set by resolution of the village board once the law takes effect. They also are allowed only in the central business district and the commercial zone. They are allowed only as accessories to establishments that currently serve food or drink on the first floor of their premises. They're only allowed to serve food and beverages to patrons who are seated at tables. The tables have to be separated from the rest of the public sidewalk by a barrier. And the sidewalk cafe area may not violate the minimum sidewalk clearance requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act. No sidewalk cafe can operate after 11 p.m. or when the establishment which is associated with is not open to the public. And no live or mechanical music shall be permitted in the outdoor area. And I think that covers the key features of this law. So as mentioned, if you want to look at it online or in person in the village clerk's office, it is available and will be available for about the next month for any comments you might have. Comments or discussion from the board before we move on?
Yeah, I have a few comments. I'm not sure sort of where we are in the process, but as of now, I would not be able to support some of the parts. And part of it is, I think, the idea of having having the sidewalk installed or replaced, on transfer sounds initially like a good idea. But the issue, which actually Stephanie brought up originally, and forgot she had brought it up, but came back to mind, is that we have no notification of a property transfer before it happens. The only notification the village gets is after it happens, which means we're placing that burden on the buyer. And the buyer will not necessarily be aware that this regulation exists and will have negotiated in good faith for the price of a, property, not knowing there's an additional charge or an additional, expense coming for. So I think we really need to rethink that part. Because if I was a, property purchaser, I would be rather upset to find out that after I purchase that maybe I have an extensive sidewalk that needs complete replacement for my property, that's thousands of dollars. So I think we need to revisit that. And there's a few other, minor things like, do we really want no live music ever outside? Some minor things, 5-foot height requirement doesn't allow a table to be placed, and something on the table that goes above 5 feet. And also, considering that one of the ways, it's not necessarily a sidewalk use, but a street use is food trucks, and we have no provision for them. So those are a few of my comments that, I think we need to take a step back and consider before pushing this forward. Other parts of it, are fine, that we dealt with.
Do you have, excuse me, do you have a proposed remedy for the property transfer issue? I believe that you were the one who brought that up in the first place.
Well, yeah, it was me and Troy. I thought it was a great idea until, we realized, well, I realized that, it can't be applied because, there are hundreds of real estate agents, et cetera, and they have to know that this exists in order to inform a property buyer, and the seller may not know either. So
Yes. We already have things in place in the state for disclosure of different items that's required by the seller. Is there something that we could put into this law that basically requires the seller to disclose that information if they're going to sell the property? And if not, there would be some sort of repercussion.
That's a good idea, and I'll ask our attorney to look into that question for us.
I don't think there's any mechanism that we could pass that's going to get out into the public sufficient enough to be able to let every single attorney involved in a transaction and every realtor in a transaction know.
Again,
That's
I'm focusing on the seller. The seller is the culpable one.
Right, but the
Not the attorney.
sellers hire professionals to give them guidance when they sell their home. Joe Schmo, who owns a house, has no idea these obligations. So if you want to spend some time and effort in notifying all of the village property owners about their obligations for disclosure, yeah, I guess you could set up some mechanism.
You could send a letter out, right, to every property owner.
And so then when a property owner fails to do that, what's the remedy? How do you?
I don't know. Is there a
It
fine?
sounds aspirational. It sounds fantastic, but I think it's going to be really hard to enforce. But if you want to pass that, I'll write it.
Well, I wonder if
It'll
we
be
even,
difficult.
because
Well, nothing good ever gets done because it's easy.
but that
This
may be
it
a,
allows us to notify property owners when they need to construct or repair sidewalks and to give them a period of time to do it and to do it for them if they don't. So I'm not sure we need any more ability than that.
well, are we requiring, the way this reads in the beginning is that everyone, not just property transfers and new construction, can be required by the village to repair or replace or install a sidewalk. I mean, that's actually the way the code is written now.
Correct.
Never enforced. Now, do we plan on enforcing that? And is the property owner, is the notice to the village only when someone complains? I think that's a dangerous road to go down, because either we apply it to everybody, and we just did a sidewalk assessment, and there are sidewalks that need repair, and there are gaps that need filling in the village. But to only enforce that when somebody complains, I think is very bad policy. So either we, assess our sidewalks and decide who needs to repair them, and send out a notice and tell them they got to repair them, or they got to put them in or replace them or whatever. But doing it just on complaints is I can't support that.
Well, I don't think we can make an existing property owner install a sidewalk. I
Why?
think we can make them repair a sidewalk that doesn't comply with standards. But I don't think we can force somebody to install a sidewalk. That was the whole reason about the property transfer, was that is a way that we can connect it to something where if it's transferred, it gives a property owner an opportunity, or a property buyer, to include that as part of the negotiation. To just outright say, somebody, you need to install a sidewalk because you don't have one. I don't know if we have the legal capability to do that.
It has been done in other places. So I don't know. I mean, Stephanie can tell us, but,
Has the transfer rule been done in other places? That transfer mechanism? Do we know?
we'd have
I've
to,
been doing closings for 2 decades. I've never seen anything even remotely close to it for sidewalks or any other types of improvements that the municipality's requiring.
Yeah, typically it's with new construction. You can stipulate
Exactly, yes.
that they have to put sidewalks in along their frontage. There isn't really any mechanism regarding residential.
Would the analogy be, isn't there some laws in some places where if a property's sold and bought and it has an old septic system, that upon sale you have to upgrade that septic? I've seen that.
If you're
somewhere.
in like a gated community or something of that nature, they may have certain, requirements of your sidewalk, of your mailbox, of a multitude of things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
I
more of
think
a homeowners association type of thing.
No, I think I've seen this tangent, like friends or relatives deal with this. I don't know, is New York State or Massachusetts, it's just an analogous situation where there was a transfer of property and the septic system they're not going to force the current owners to spend thousands to upgrade, but as soon as it got sold, the new owners that was part of the deal, was upgrading their septic. I'll see if I can find any details on that. It just made me think of that because it's sort of analogous to this sidewalk issue. And I think there may be a precedent, at least with that piece somewhere. So I can see if I can find it. It just
And
rings a
if you
bell.
find it and want to run it past me, I'm happy to take a look at it.
All right, I'll see what I can find.
and that's related to the Department of Health.
But it's still the mechanism of how it gets done, an improvement
I think
to
it's
someone's.
enforced by the Department of Health, not by the local municipality, because you have to have a
We're
septic.
gonna put this on the agenda for our next meeting for further discussion, because obviously we need further discussion. And in the time between now and our next meeting, if all trustees who have comments could get them both to the board and to our attorney, then we'll be prepared to have substantive discussions at our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to new business. Could I have a motion to approve the 2021 budget transfers that were appended to your agenda?
I'll make that.
Motion by trustee Fitzpatrick, second by trustee Raymond. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion to approve the 2022 budget transfers that were appended to your agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Cormos. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Baskin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Those transfers are passed. I'm going to read the resolution that's the subject of our next motion. This is coming to us from our treasurer. Whereas New York General Municipal Law, Article 5G, Section 119(0) empowers municipal corporations to enter into, amend, cancel, and terminate agreements for the performance among themselves of their respective functions, powers, and duties on a cooperative or contract basis. Whereas the Village of Ballston Spa wishes to invest portions of its available investment funds in cooperation with other corporations and or districts pursuant to the NICLAS Municipal Cooperation Agreement, amended and restated as of March 28th, 2019. And whereas the Village of Ballston Spa wishes to satisfy the safety and liquidity needs of their funds, now therefore it is hereby resolved as follows: that Lawrence Woolbright, Mayor of the Village of Ballston Spa, is hereby authorized to participate in the NICLAS program under the terms of the NICLAS Municipal Cooperation Agreement, amended and restated as of March 28th, 2019. Could I have a motion to approve that resolution?
Can you explain it a little further? What's the NICLAS program?
I can send out you a booklet. I do have it via email, but it's basically just a municipal program that municipals across the state utilize to invest their money. It's a very low risk investment. It actually goes day by day rather than month by month like some of the CDs, but it's a similar risk as a CD might be. Just the best option for the municipality in New York State.
All right, thanks.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
I believe that was trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
Fitzpatrick.
Thank you. Trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion?
Sounds like.
Hearing none.
Excuse me, I just wondered how many municipalities partake in this?
There's quite a bit of them. Honestly, the interest rates are so competitive that more and more municipalities are either investing in this program or using it to make their local bank have a more competitive rate. I don't know the exact figures, but I can, like I said to Ben, I can send you all the package so you can better understand the program as a whole.
Sounds like this is non-controversial, but it would be good to have some detail before we're asked to vote on things. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see what the program's about and a little more detail before voting on it. I think it would have been better to have some, at least a description before, putting it on this agenda.
Is there anything time sensitive
Well, you
here?
got
Could we do that? Is there
You got the
something
agenda.
time sensitive?
Yes,
Sorry.
Not to my knowledge. But we did all get this agenda last Thursday, so there was opportunity to ask questions if people wanted to. Unless the motion and seconder want to withdraw their motion, I'm going to call a vote. And if you don't want to vote for it, you just vote against it. Hearing no withdrawal, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to do a poll here for
That's
the
fine.
minutes. So minutes should reflect that Mayor Woolbright, Trustee Fitzpatrick, and Trustee Raymond voted in the affirmative. All opposed, say nay.
I'd vote for a delay.
And
Now, I vote to look at the details first. I mean, to have.
trustee,
information in front.
let the minutes reflect that trustees Cormos and Baskin voted in the negative. Motion is passed. Moving on. Could I have a motion that Twin Bridges Waste and Recycling be granted permission to solicit door-to-door? The application has been approved by the building inspector and the police chief, and proof of insurance has been provided to the clerk. Is there a motion?
And they've done this before, or I guess we'll discuss after the motion. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
we
make
have
a
a
motion.
motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by trustee Cormos. Yes, in response to your question, we do have a local law that provides for door-to-door street peddling. And this has been through the process that regulation describes.
if
And I
I,
think
Any other
they have been soliciting in the past year. They did that. So I assume this is a repeat application.
I don't know, I haven't seen them.
I'm wondering, are we allowed as a municipality to prohibit door-to-door? Or not? Is that a
I don't
free-
believe so.
Okay, we can regulate it
Really?
though.
I think we looked into that last year when the first issue came up with one of these.
Okay,
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion that Eagle Mat Lee Fire Company #1 be granted permission to hold their annual Tag Day on Saturday, July 24th, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by trustee Baskin. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Could I have a motion that the pool staff that you were provided a copy of in your packet be approved?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Patrick, second by trustee Raymond. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. That motion carries. And could I have a motion that the pool schedule and fee schedule that you were also provided in your packet be approved?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Cormos, second.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Baskin. Any discussion?
I'll just note that there's a differential between the towns of origin, I believe, on the fees.
Yes. The town of Milton has in the past historically contributed to the cost of running the swimming pool. The towns of Ballston and Malta have not. I approached both of those towns this year with requests that they help out as the town of Milton does, and both refused. And so the proposed fees for this year do carry a differential whereby village residents and town of Milton residents pay a slightly smaller usage fee than residents of the other towns.
Good idea.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion that Union Fire Company number 2 be granted permission to hold their annual tag day on Saturday, August 28th, 2021, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Fitzpatrick, second by trustee Raymond. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion to ratify my appointment of the following full-time laborers in the Department of Public Works? Connor Eversole, Trevor Eastman, and Peter Stasiak.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Baskin. Is there a
Second,
second by trustee Cormos? Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries, and I'm greatly relieved that we're actually going to start seeing a little increase in staffing there, because we've been very shorthanded with 4 empty positions and a lot of senior people with a lot of vacation and time to use. So hopefully this will help us get back on track with the necessary work that needs to be done around the village. Move next to the consent agenda. We have a consent agenda for 2021 expenditures and for 2022 expenditures. Does any trustee wish anything removed from the 2021 consent agenda before we?
I just have a question. I'm trying to remember, did we have a procedure where only, that there was a certain limit to what could be on the consent agenda? As far as the dollar amounts, we don't have
No.
that. It's just,
No, I think you're thinking about the financial procedure, the process that Julia created to run through, and that 20,000 threshold was in there. But the consent agenda are just really items that the board that Larry thinks that the board will simply pass as of course.
because we, like the fire department, because we've discussed that as part of the budget process.
Because you know that it's part of the process.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
We know that's in the budget, so we passed the budget, so I assume there wouldn't be any objection to now allowing them to do what's in the budget.
Okay,
Okay, motion please to accept the 2021 consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
second,
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That item is approved. Could I have a motion to accept the 2022 consent agenda?
I'll second Christine's.
I didn't see her. Motion by trustee Fitzpatrick, second by trustee Raymond. Any discussion?
I just have a question. We allocated $60,000 for the floor. That's what this is?
I'll defer that to the treasurer.
Yes, we allocated the 60,000 for their floor repair.
All right. So between the 2021 and the 2022, we're going over that 60,000?
That's correct. I did put that dilemma in the hands of the fire departments, specifically Union, to find out which expenses they would be willing to give up for fiscal year 2022. And there is a series of building improvements that they did push off for fiscal year 2022, including the air conditioner unit and some SCBA bottle packs.
so it's within,
It's within their budget, yep.
okay.
All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That item is approved. That brings us to trustee liaison reports. Does any trustee have a report to give us tonight?
I do.
Trustee Cormos.
First of all, on the comprehensive plan, the existing conditions report is under final review by the comprehensive plan committee. It's 101 pages of information about the village, very thorough. The Capital District Regional Transportation Regional CDRPC and CDTA both worked on it, and it's a very thorough professional job. The RFP for a comprehensive plan consulting firm went out in mid-May, and last week we received 5 proposals. The comprehensive plan committee is reviewing those. They're planning on having a meeting on the 22nd to discuss, and we'll be making a recommendation to the board. If they cannot clearly see one firm ahead of the others, they may elect to interview the firms in person, the finalists, and make a recommendation to the board. On the linkage grant on June 28th, Monday, will be a demonstration project on Hyde Boulevard to show what bike lanes would look like for one block between Grove Street and Chapman. And there'll be a press release coming out, et cetera, on that. And on June 30th, that Wednesday, there will be a open house to discuss the linkage grant, open to the public from 6 to 8 p.m. in Kelly Park. Opportunity for any and all to give comments, on the project. And of course, they can. There'll be methods to give comments on the demonstration project as well.
Trustee Cormos, explain to us, please, how this demonstration project goes away.
Oh, they use tape.
Oh, okay. So it's not actually paint.
It's not paint. They have a tape, that they can stick onto the pavement, and the project will be up for 1 week, and there'll be letters. There's a letter that we'll be delivering to all the area residents to inform them of this project.
So they'll get this before it actually occurs.
Yes.
Good, thank you. Any other trustee liaison reports tonight?
I met today with the committee that runs with the Captain Agency, the Care Links and Wellness Express van, and met their team, and they provide rides to wellness appointments, and their Care Links matches volunteers to seniors who have different kinds of needs. It could be social, it could be house maintenance, other things. So it's an excellent group. They're always looking for volunteers, and as well as fundraising. They actually discussed the potential need for another van, and we'll explore that. Of course, you need more staffing with another van, so they're trying to figure that out. They're having an annual appeal on, and they're also celebrating their their 25th anniversary on is it June 25th? September 25th. They'll be celebrating their 25th anniversary. So I'll get some more details on that. So they appreciate the village's support, and if there's any questions that you have for them, feel free to ask me, and I'll bring it to the group. I also met with various stakeholders in the whole pool, ice skating rink relocation saga, and I did briefly talk with or email the superintendent of schools, and he wanted to get back to me because he's in the middle of budget and votes and all that. So he still needs to get back to me on what his intentions are with the land at at his property at Park. There's some issues around who's going to have liability over the ice skating rink. And so there's different interests. It's not clear everyone's pointing in the same direction. So I'm still trying to figure it all out. People are interested in working together, but it's not clear what the final outcome, the preference would be. So
Yeah, thanks for taking that on, because that was, as you
Sure.
pointed out, a hard one to get a handle on.
yeah, all right.
Okay, any other liaison reports? Moving on to other business, is there any other business to come before the board tonight?
I had informed you that Mike Tower wanted to present a proposal from the on the Wiswell Park. That did not make it onto the agenda.
Okay. Let me. I'm going to promote Mike Tower to a panelist.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay, you're on, Mike.
All right, thank you. I called the village Friday and today about trying to get on the agenda, so I thought I did what I needed, but so thank you. Thank you, Liz. There's actually two proposals that the Park and Tree Board wanted to bring forward. Ray Otten wrote up these proposals and I believe forwarded them to the board members. One of them is replacing the small toddler playset down at Kelly Park that's right next to the pavilion. So the proposal is that the Community Emergency Corps will finance a replacement playset dedicated to Kathy Matrazo, a longtime village resident that passed away this spring. And she was a wife of one of their lifetime members, Rick Matrazo. The playset would be of commercial grade for safety and longevity, would occupy the same area that was used for the small previous playset. We would install new borders and required improvements to the site would be included. Installation is to be performed by volunteers, including Rotary, Lions, and other civic organizations, as well as private citizens in coordination with some folks from Town of Milton. And that has been discussed with Jeff Gowries, as well as Town of Milton DPW. The Community Emergency Corps will be funding the replacement playset. And Jeff would be involved in the process and improve any and all parts of the process from the purchase of the playset to its construction, placement, inspection. So that's the first proposal. The second one, and I'm going to attempt to share a screen. I guess that's not possible, but that's.
I might be able to allow you to do that. Let me see.
All right.
Okay, you should be able to share it now.
All right. I don't know, is that working for you guys?
Yep.
Okay. So the second proposal has to do with Wiswell Park, and I'm just gonna scroll through some photos here. But the proposal here from the Park and Tree Board is to make some improvements and changes to the layout and the purpose of Wiswell Park to make it more functional and a more pleasant pocket park in the downtown Ballston Spa area. The park is in disrepair in large part and is in need of changes. One of the primary problems is the invasive bishop's weed, which can be seen in this picture and some others here. So part of the proposal and part of the first, the initial part of this project would be to remove the bishop's weed from the park. There are some other shrubs and trees that are either dangerous and that may be recommended to come down, or some shrubs that are dying, or it really should come out and be replaced and improved upon. The fountain, which is now pretty much just the brick post there that's non-functioning, would be relocated to a more prominent location at the northeast corner of the park, creating a nice focal point with a small pavilion, which the Rotary Club has offered to supply. The current pavilion has also served its purpose, but is pretty much near the end of its useful life. And there's a picture of that there. So part of the proposal would be to replace that with a new pavilion. Then the circular walkway is also in pretty poor shape, as are some of the benches in the park. So the initial proposal for this plan would include removing the current Sanssouci Spring fountain outlet, remove the bishop's weed and other invasive vegetation, remove the blacktop walkways throughout the park. We would do replacement of soil and grading work, as well as overseeding. And Ray has met with Jeff from DPW, as well as some folks from town of Milton, and apparently has had their support for being able to help out with some of this work. And I wasn't at the March board meeting, but apparently the broader plan was brought to the board's attention. So those are the two main proposals that we're seeking some action on.
Okay, thank you, Mike, for that presentation. I guess I need to ask if there's any urgency to any of this, because typically the board gets written detailed proposals the week before the board meeting and is not asked to vote on things unless that's been the case. So I'm happy to have discussion from the board tonight as board members wish, but I would ask that you get us written detailed proposals for both of these, and I will put them under old business on the next agenda, which is 2 weeks from tonight. Having said that, moving the plumbing, which goes under the street and may or may not have issues with the sewer lines and other infrastructure, could prove to be a complicated thing. And I think we would need our engineers probably to take a look at that before we committed to it.
Larry, I believe the proposal here is just to take down the pedestal and seal it. The recommendation was not to actually relocate it in this initial phase, but wait until the second phase to move the actual outlet of the spring. You know, the result of this work would be is basically removal of material that you know, the sidewalk, the vegetation, etc., and then to reseed, and then, you know, with either grant or raised funds, you know, and also the Rotary is willing to submit funds for pieces of this, you know, to the complete. The bishop's weed is a serious issue. It has been left unaddressed for years. It continues to overrun the park. It's taking up about 20% of the park area. And it basically covers anything else that's growing. So as far as returning the park to its glory days when there was beautiful plantings there, and it was attractive, it can't be done unless the bishop's weed is removed, and it's very difficult to remove. We've gotten one proposal from Vermeer, I think, landscaping to chemically, to spray it with an herbicide to kill it. Milton has indicated that they would be willing to bring excavation equipment to, remove a lot of it, although I'm concerned about the trees on the property that we won't be able to excavate. The roots of that weed can go down 1 to 2 feet. And if there's any left, it comes back. We've been fighting a small patch of it at the library, and we've gotten it under control, but it's nowhere near the extent of invasive, area as in Wiswall. And Wiswall is the center of town. We'd like to at least get this first phase, the Park and Tree Board and the Rotary, and I'm in favor of getting something started.
Any other discussion from the board?
Well, yeah, I'm just wondering, what you're talking about is basically gonna tear the park up, and it's gonna be basically dirt. So for a while, I'm just kind of wondering if this, was the intent to start it in a month or in a couple of weeks? Because it seems like this might be something to consider, maybe pushing off to the end of the summer to do this kind of work. Just given the fact that in the middle of the summer, the park does get utilized for a lot of different things, or even if just people walking in it, we basically have to cordon it off for the summer if we're going to do, all that excavation.
Yeah, there's the trade-offs of if you wait till fall, then it'll be, like after the car show, it will be too late to reseed it, and it'll be dirt and mud for over the winter. Ray is the one who's talked to Jeff and Milton, and they feel, they can, I think, do it sooner than later, but I'll let him, address that.
So sort of along the lines of what Sean's asking, I think it's great for us and the whole community to invest in this park and really make it a wonderful centerpiece of the village. And communities do that all the time. They create great parks right in the center of town, and we should be able to do that as well. And the question I have though is, in this phase 1, we have remove blacktop, gazebo, remove soil, burning bush, remove everything. Or a bishop's weed, do we have a timeline and a plan for that next step of putting things back? Is the whole process, do we have a real sense of the funding involved, the timing, the participants, so that we can be sure of that it's not going to sit as a bare pile of dirt for, an inordinate length of time? That's really the issue.
Well, the plan is to reseed it, so it would be lawn. It would not be, bare.
Right.
Soil.
But we wouldn't have paths. We wouldn't have a gazebo. Do you have a sense of timing?
I think some of those details still have to be worked out, Ben, and they're great questions. Obviously, I think we need to get you guys some more details, and maybe once DPW has their new staff on board and they have a better handle on what's on their plate for the rest of the year, we can have a better sense of maybe a staged plan, because to some degree it's going to have to impact usage to do any of these stages. But to Sean's point, in the middle of the summer, may or may not be the best time. And we're certainly not expecting to do the entire thing all at once.
Right.
So,
Do we have a sense of a budget?
Okay, thanks, Mike.
you're welcome.
Well, this phase would not cost the village anything other than the grass seed.
But speaking to that other point of getting it all back
Well,
together.
DPW labor too.
Yeah.
No, not DPW.
Yeah, I think we need to see the expanded proposal and timeline and financial information. And if we have that at the next meeting, then we'll have more discussion at that point.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for working on it.
That takes us to public comment. So I will ask that if any member of the public wishes to make a comment, you raise your hand and I will call on you. And I see a hand from Dick Duffy. Dick, you're muted, but you should be able to unmute yourself and speak.
How about now, Larry? You have me?
Yep, sounds good.
I have two quick things. First of all, I want to commend whoever's working on our village website. I find it very useful and very user friendly. And it seems like it's very updated at times when needed to be. So I commend whoever's been working on that. Second off, all quickly on your sidewalk talk that you were just having and you've had for many weeks. I think you're to the point pretty straight, Larry, and I think you're right that you have almost all the mechanisms in place. You just need the enforcement of it maybe a little bit. And because as we all know, when you sell your home or have a closing on your home, everybody has an evaluation, appraisal, and an inspection of their homes to tell what is needed. And sidewalk is one of them. Usually the inspector will come up with a list of things that they recommend being done to the buyer. And then the buyer and the seller negotiate that out and who's going to fix what. So that sidewalks would kind of be covered in that, I believe. So I do agree with you there, Larry. Then there's one other thing that really alarmed me. I think the board needs to look at. When I was reading our website, I noticed, which I think you really do need, is for the position for the clerk for the building department. And I think that's a great idea, and I think it's a well-needed position. But what alarms me is that position starts at $18 an hour, which I'm not saying that position doesn't deserve that. But what I do see, and I know because my wife is one of the girls that is a clerk in the court system. She right now, they clerks work for $12.60 an hour. And I think to hire a clerk in another part of the village to at $18 an hour is a slap in the face to these girls in this clerk's position. I think that needs to be looked at and hopefully remedied. We know help is hard to hire today, and I think these girls have been doing an excellent job for you, and hopefully I can see them get compensated a little better for it. If that's, it doesn't seem like your pay scale structured here, and that's what concerns me. And that's all I got. I thank you for letting me speak.
Okay, thank you, Dick. Thank you for your comments. I will say, I think I can speak on behalf of the board when I say that we all agree that the court clerks are underpaid and under-recognized, and we would like to get them more money. There has been a contractual obstacle that we've been leery about, and hopefully that obstacle will disappear in the very near future. We're trying very hard to accomplish that. And I think you'll see better compensation and more appreciation of their good hard work for those court clerks once the board feels comfortable that it's not opening itself up to legal liability by doing so. But I think we all share that concern. So thank you. I see another hand. Anna, I assume Stanko. You can unmute yourself to talk.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just a couple of quick, maybe questions, comments about the sidewalks. Has anybody taken into consideration some of the seniors that you're going to send a letter to and tell them they need to fix their sidewalk, or they're going to be fined? And what if they're on a limited income and can't afford to fix their sidewalk? Is there any type of a an application for assistance or anything like that in place? Perhaps, I mean, you're putting some of these elderly between a rock and a hard place. The other concern would be, do these sidewalks, are you talking also about the businesses downtown, like say in front of the White House where the sidewalk is all muddled up? Because the village planted trees there. So the sidewalk is not busted up due to no fault of a property owner or a business owner, but rather the fault of the village for planting the wrong kind of trees there. So those were just a couple of thoughts I had. As to the, it seems like you've gotten away from the filing of the property transfers. As Stephanie can attest, deeds do not need to be filed. You can transfer a property and never file your deed. So that would not be a great way to try to track new owners, especially if they're trying to evade certain rules or laws. That's all I got. I will say also, though, I did reach out to Larry. That website is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So much better than the old one. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
If I might just address the trees in front of the White House, that was actually Department of Transportation who planted those trees, wasn't us. And they are the wrong type of tree for the site. And hopefully our tree grant will address that.
And I think your idea about an assistance program for people on limited incomes is a good one. We've talked about various ways that the village might contribute to the sidewalk effort, and that's one we haven't talked about as far as I can remember. So thank you for that idea.
Well, that's actually, Mayor, didn't we discuss the fact that we were going to include repair as a potential to have the village contribute 50% of the cost? And I thought that was going to be in one of the.
Yes, but we never have an income differential.
Yeah.
We've never talked about a needs-based thing. We've just talked about a repayment, blanket repayment schedule. All right, I see no more hands raised. So, oops, that's all it takes to get somebody to raise a hand. I will recognize Bob Bush.
Hey, Larry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I just have a few things I want to touch on. A couple questions. One of the things is when I was around town, I noticed there's a pamphlet for the pedestrian bicycle master plan. And I was wondering who printed it and what money was used to pay for it. That's one question. Another question I had was, what happened to the money from the bucket donations from the last Family Fun Day that was held? The bucket money added to the rainy day fund? And why has there not been any talks about bringing that possibly back? I understand this year because of COVID restrictions, but they've also eased and are no longer a serious threat in our area, I believe. I know a lot of residents I have spoken with are asking why Family Fun Day wasn't brought back. And one last thing, once Wiswell Park gets an overhaul, who's going to maintain it so it doesn't get in disrepair like it has been? And if it does get in disrepair, are we going to enforce some sort of consequence?
If I might answer your first question, those pamphlets are funded through the grant.
Thank you.
And I can speak to well, I can't speak to your second question, actually, because I don't remember when the last Family Fun Day was, but I'm pretty sure it was in John Romano's last year as mayor, and I know nothing about any bucket of donations or anything. That's entirely news to me, so I have no idea.
There's buckets at the door for the next year's Family Fun Day. I know because I put money into it. And I know several people that did that have asked me about it. And I didn't know what happened to it. That's why I was asking that question. I'm surprised somebody hasn't asked that in the last couple of years. So
Yeah, no idea. I'll ask the treasurer to follow up on it and see if she can find anything out. Maybe reach out to the old treasurer or something like that. But no, didn't know about that. Then thank you very much. All right, at this point, I see no more hands, so I will end the public comment session and ask for a motion that vouchers number 21-01205 to 21-02152 and 22-0001 to 22-00067 be audited and the meeting adjourned.
All right, I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Baskin, second by trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned. I'd like to thank the board members, support staff, and the 17 attendees we had participating in the meeting for your time and your interest. And I'll see you once again on Zoom 2 weeks from tonight. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.